Hi, this is Chris Cyberstruct with my second hardcore kick theory video. In this tutorial I'm going to be talking about using Harmor to detune kicks to make them a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to be synthesizing this kick drum. I'll just start off with just putting a punch there. And then we'll load up our Harmor. We'll also set it to 175 BPM. This kick drum could work well in a crossbreed kind of track. Basically, what we're going to be making today is kind of halfway in between a hardcore kick and a reese bass. So we're set all the way to our saw wave here. So we're able to go put some notes in. It's just going to be a saw wave. We'll go down to G2. That octave should sound good. So that's where we're at the moment. Now the first thing we should do to that to make it into a kick drum is to change the pitch envelope. So your envelopes down here, if you're familiar with Citrus or some other image line products, you may be familiar with this kind of setup. You've got your envelope and then your image, which is really cool. This is one of the coolest things about this plugin, is you can synthesize something and then you can bounce that down to audio, and then you can just drag and drop it back in here and it'll sort of resynthesize it, and you can resample that way. So if you're going to make mid-range for reese basses, drum and bass kind of stuff, this is really cool. It's an additive synthesis, so it works by synthesizing harmonics, and it's very unique VST. Your FX section is quite simple. We're going to be using the distortion. And what else? Okay. So back to the pitch, we're going to click the tempo on. So this would be one beat here. We want to start at the highest possible point, and then we want to come down to the middle line, which will be our G2 note, which we're at. We want the second half of the kick drum to be that G2 note, that's our bass note, and we want the pitch to come down a bit quicker. As you can hear, like, here's the starting point, and then here's where it'll end. We can listen to what it sounds like now. Okay, it's a horrible squeaky sound. So we want it to come down a lot quicker, so we want to adjust the curve. As you can hear there, it's getting back to the bass note. We've got the punch at the start. About there, we should do alright for this. Now we're going to go to FX, and we'll turn on distortion. There's a whole bunch of different types. I'm just in the habit of using this one. So now you can hear what we've got is we've got that pitch envelope on a saw wave with a bit of distortion. Very basic kind of saw wave kick sound. So what we want to do to this to make it a bit more interesting is up here, this is our Unison. This is what you use to detune. We're going to set the order to 2, which is making 2 oscillators that'll be detuning, and we'll set it to classic. We'll set the pan to 0, and the phase we'll set to aligned. That'll stop any weird stereo things happening. Now what will be happening with this? This is our Unison pitch thickness. This is controlling how much detuned or how far away these 2 different oscillators are, and as they are different when the further away they are, you'll hear that it creates kind of a wobbling sound, which is the sound is sort of clashing with itself and creates this movement, which is basically your reese bass kind of sound. So just to show you that. You can hear that wobbling sort of movement. Which is fairly cool. Now we're going to use that movement to give our kick drum some movement. So we set it back to the 4 to the floor. And we'll find pitch. Let's play with this again. Okay, so it's getting a little bit fatter. What we can do now is we can go to a harmonic unison pitch. This is really interesting. And one of my favorite things about this VST is this will change how much the pitch thickness is affected at different parts of different frequencies or different groups of harmonics. So you should be able to hear a change when I start moving this. So you can hear there's a whole range of possibilities. And if we go back to our initial sound here and play it out like it's a reese again. You can hear it's got that really kind of squelchy movement that's going on there, which is quite cool. And you can even use this without the pitch for synths, stuff like that. It's a bit too low. That's pretty much the basics of what I wanted to do in this tutorial. It's quite basic as it is. That's without any external processing. Then you can go and take these things and throw them into your mixer channels, and you can start distorting things more, and we can start grouping things together and compressing things and having all sorts of fun with it. But that's basically about it for this tutorial. So thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something interesting. And as usual, hit me up if you have any questions. I'm sorry I haven't got around to answering the last questions on the last tutorial, but I aim to do that today. I'm very lazy. But if you have any questions, hit me up. Feel free to subscribe because I'll post more of these. And if you want to like my page Cyberstruct on Facebook to keep up with my personal productions, then you're more than welcome to do that. So thanks and have fun.